Project Alpha success is entirely thanks to my projections right here. Are you serious?
In the story of generations, some are impossible to ignore. The baby boomers were loud, rebellious, and defined cultural change. Millennials rewrote the rules of work and identity. Generation Z turned visibility into currency. But somewhere in between, there's a generation people rarely talk about. Generation X. They didn't demand attention, they didn't grow up being celebrated, and they didn't expect the world to notice. But here's the question no one asks: what happens to a generation that grows up without being seen? Because Gen X wasn't just overlooked, they were raised in silence, without applause, without constant validation. And that silence didn't weaken them, it shaped them.
As you can see, our Q3 projections are significantly up. That's amazing news. We should move forward.
Look at the detail on this.
It's incredible. The colors just pop.
I can't believe
The Q4 Project Alpha success is entirely thanks to my projections right here. Are you serious? My team implemented.
It's late afternoon in the 1980s. A child walks up to the front door, pulls a key from a string around their neck, and lets themselves in. No voices, no questions, no "how was your day?" Just silence. They drop their backpack, open the fridge, and find a note. "Dinner's in the freezer, be back later." This was everyday life for many in Generation X, the original Latchkey kids. No phones to check in, no GPS, no one watching. And at first it looked like freedom. But underneath that freedom was something quieter, something harder to name. They learned not to interrupt, not to need too much, not to expect anyone to notice the small things. So they adapted. They made their own food, solved their own problems, sat with their own feelings, without language for them. This wasn't just independence, it was early emotional self-reliance. And over time, the message became internal. If no one is here, I'll handle it myself. Growing up this way didn't just shape habits, it rewired how Generation X thinks. When no one is around to guide you, you stop waiting for instructions. You start figuring things out. The bike breaks, you fix it. You're hungry, you make something, something goes wrong. You don't panic, you adapt. Over time, this becomes a mindset. Handle it, solve it, move on. Psychologists describe this as an internal locus of control, the belief that your life is shaped more by your actions than by outside forces. But for Gen X, it goes even deeper. This wasn't taught, it was learned through necessity. What looks like confidence is often defensive independence, a quiet understanding that relying on others isn't always an option. While other generations were guided step by step, Gen X was self-directed. No constant feedback, no applause, no safety net, and that created something rare, a brain wired for problem solving, a tolerance for uncertainty, an ability to function even when no one is watching. They didn't just grow up, they adapted. But there's a side of this story we don't talk about. When you grow up without being seen, you don't just become independent, you become invisible to yourself. Many in Generation X carry what psychologists might call a forgotten middle child pattern, not literally, but emotionally. Their needs were rarely the priority, so they learned to minimize them. They became easy, low maintenance, self-sufficient. But underneath that adaptability is something quieter, a hesitation to ask for help, a discomfort with being vulnerable, a lingering question, do my needs even matter? Because when no one consistently reflects your worth back to you as a child, you grow up unsure how to measure it. So you keep going, you achieve, you handle everything, but you don't always feel it. You don't always feel seen. And over time, the absence of applause becomes internalized, not as pain you can point to, but as silence you've learned to live with. As adults, Generation X carried this mindset into a very different world, one that rewards visibility as much as ability. In the workplace, they became the quiet workhorses. They show up, they solve problems, they deliver results. No need for constant praise, no need to announce every win. To them, work speaks for itself. But today's culture doesn't always work that way. In a world driven by personal branding and self-promotion, silence can be mistaken for lack of impact. And that creates a quiet tension. Younger generations are taught, speak up, be visible, tell your story. Gen X was taught something else entirely. Just get it done. So while others highlight their achievements, Gen X often moves on to the next task, unseen, unrecognized. And here's the irony. The more self-sufficient they are, the easier it is to overlook them. Not because they lack value, but because they were never trained to show it.
The Q4 Project Alpha success is entirely thanks to my projections right here. Are you serious? My team.
So what happens to a generation raised without applause? They become the ones who hold everything together. Today, Generation X is often called the sandwich generation, caring for aging parents while still supporting their children. They carry responsibility quietly. They adapt without complaint, not because it's easy, but because it's familiar. This is their real strength. Not loud confidence, but quiet resilience. Not constant recognition, but consistent presence. So if you are Gen X, hear this. You are never invisible. You are being forged. And if you're not, take a moment to notice the people who never ask for credit, but always get the job done. Because some of the strongest people in the world are the ones no one ever thought to applaud.
Yes, that fixed
If
it.
this
I appreciate
resonated
the
with
help.
you, subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts in the comments, especially if you've ever felt like you had to figure it out on your own.
I invite you to share your story.
Happy birthday!
Congratulations, you really deserve it.
Make a wish.